Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, it happened. The Yankees finally lost the series. Oh my God, what terrible day we're living in here. But not really a big deal. It was going to happen sometime. So, fortunately, the Yankees dropped 2 out of 3 against the Toronto Blue Jays. So, kind of getting into all that. Wasn't really a good series for the Yankees. I mean, kind of barely just won the second game. So, pretty close. Gotten swept. And the other 2 games, the Yankees lost quite convincingly there. So, again, not really the best. They say good losses and bad losses and bad losses and good losses and all that. Well, this was a bad loss. For the series for the Yankees. But nevertheless, they did add another player, Kole Calhoun, to the roster. So kind of give you the backdrop on him, get you all that stuff, but make sure you subscribe to this podcast before we get started. So wherever you're listening to this, look for a subscribe or a follow button, get notified after every little series, and of course other additional stuff exclusive for you podcast subscribers. So this is going to be a bit of a showdown for the Yankees. Remember last season, Toronto and the Yankees kind of went neck to neck there towards the end. I mean, the Yankees had the big lead, but then in the second half of the season kind of faded away, almost blew the whole thing, and kind of had to fend off Toronto to the end there to finally win the AL East crown. And there were little fireworks there, a little chippy between the two franchises. And of course, remember some of the back and forth talk between Alex Manoah and Garrett Cole. And just interesting enough, they hooked up in the second game of the series. Again, that goes back to last season when Manoah hit Judge and Cole didn't like it, and he kind of jumped over the guardrail, the bullpen, and made like he was gonna come charge them out a little bit, just trying to talk tough, but he actually didn't put his foot over the line there. And then Alex Manoah was like, "Hey, come on, next time put your foot over the line." He kind of challenged him there, and of course during the off season talked a little smack, mentioned how Cole's the dirtiest player in baseball, just kind of mentioning using the substance there with the grip, the pitching, and all that stuff there. So again, not like these two teams and these 2 players are on good terms, and there were little fireworks a little bit towards the end of the first game there. So before I get into the series, the Yankees did make a roster move, signing a minor league deal to Kole Calhoun. Now you're like, who is that? Well, he's got to be bounced around a little bit with baseball. He was with the Angels for a couple of seasons there. He had some decent years. We hit some double-digit home runs, not a kind of play that sticks out at you, but they mainly got him. I mean, he's a competent bat. He's a left-handed bat. Of course, you like that for Yankee Stadium, but he does have 3 Gold Gloves as well, so you figure he can handle the spacious room there out in left field for Yankee Stadium. Not really overly special about him, but it's probably from, again, the lack of production from Aaron Hicks, and as well maybe, pizzazz is faded out a little bit from Franchy Cordero, who, again, kind of teed off in the Baltimore series as well as in the Cleveland series, and since then have been kind of quiet, so this might be a little just, hey, let's just get someone in there in the mix. Of course, Stanton's going to be out for 4 to 6 weeks. We discussed that in the previous episode, so it's probably the situation where the Yankees wanted to just bring in another outfielder, just throw someone in there else in the mix, just to create some competition, and say, again, maybe Calhoun takes off a little bit like Matt Carpenter, something like that. We don't know. So the story on him, he wasn't in camp with the Seattle Mariners this season, but he opted out of that minor league deal. I guess he was looking for something better, and he kind of been sitting around a little bit, and I guess eventually the Yankees called him. I guess he was just more than happy to have a job. So, at some point you'll probably see him up here. And 35 years old, 11-year vet. Now, last year was the greatest for him. Just hit about a little under 200, did have 12 home runs. But did, play 125 games last season. So you say overall, figure it's, durable guy. But again, his selling point is probably his defense. That does have the 3 Gold Gloves. Again, he did it with the Angels, did it with Arizona, and then most recently with Texas. So I don't know, it's just someone you probably throw in there. Again, I'm not going to expect much out of him. And again, probably just give him a shot there to see. The Yankees kind of been throwing some guys out there like Franchy Cordero, Willie Calhoun. Of course, we know Hicks has been struggling. Oswaldo Cabrera's out there a little bit, who, again, he finally got his first home run of the season during this series, but hasn't exactly been tearing it up, so to speak. So, this could be Cashman's way of trying to create a little more competition there. So at some point, you'll see him up. So the first game was Yusei Kikuchi versus Domingo Germán, and Germán coming off probably his best start in almost a few years. Last time against the Twins, again, he had the 11 strikeouts there, pitching into the 7th inning, only gave the 1 run. Unfortunately, Germán wasn't able to carry that over. Now, he wasn't actually totally garbage, but it was really 2 swings that did him in this game. One of those swings came in the 1st inning with a runner on facing Vladdy Guerrero Jr., serves up the 2-run home run, puts the Yankees up in a 2-0 hole, but the Yankees did chip away right away, and it was, as I mentioned before, Oswaldo Cabrera hitting his first home run of the season and getting over that right field wall. He's cut the lead in half 2-1, and Germán settled down a little bit. So again, he wasn't really garbage in this game, but unfortunately gave up another big one, another 2-run home run to Brandon Belt, increased the Toronto lead to 4-1 at that point. And again, Germán went 6 2/3 innings there, just gave up the 4 runs. So again, it wasn't terrible, but it was just, he gave up 2 home runs. That kills you, but the Yankee offense really wasn't able to do anything against Kikuchi as well as the Toronto bullpen, and they kind of went out in a whimper in this one. and would fall to a score of 6-1. But the real fireworks happened in the ninth inning with Greg Weissert up pitching. Now, there was a runner on first. Weissert came in, hit Guerrero on the arm, and I guess Guerrero took an exception to it. Figured maybe they were, with the score 6-1 a little bit, you figure, all right, you know what, we're going to lose this game anyway. Let me hit him one. Again, these two franchises kind of went back and forth a little bit last season with that, and who knows if that was on purpose or not. Well, apparently he got a little chippy with it, and Rizzo took exception that Guerrero was mad at it. And it was kind of things like, hey, look, there's a runner on. Why would we want to put another runner? Why would we want to put a runner now on second base, have two on, and give you guys a chance to score another run there? Which I know he's right in that sense, but in another sense too, it's like if you're going to hit someone, you're going to do it in that spot. Because you're losing 6-1, you're probably going to lose the game anyway, so you might as well throw it and hit someone there. So I could understand Guerrero's position. So they balked a little bit, but kind of didn't go any further than that. The umpire was able to cool them down, and the fact that they're both first basemen and they're gonna kind of see each other a lot the rest of the weekend. You don't really want that to go too far just because they're going to be near each other and within arm distance of throwing punches there for the rest of the weekend. So luckily they quiet down, but the Yankees unfortunately went down in that first game 6-1. But then brings us to game two, was probably going to be the marquee matchup. And Garrett Cole versus Manoah, who again had some words across each other. Really, Cole doesn't have to say much about Manoah. It's just been more Manoah doing the talking. But of course, we saw Cole's actions again jumping over the rail last season when Judge was plunked. And this game was pretty much a pitcher's duel. I mean, Manoah lasted a little longer than Cole, but it was 0-0 into the eighth inning when finally Volpe hit his second home run of the season, went opposite field. Gave the Yankees at that point a 2-0 lead, but unfortunately the Yankee bullpen would falter and would be an unlikely source. Now, this is a situation where I just kind of got into this, I spoke in previous episodes, when you don't put your pitches in the normal innings you're used to pitching, and instead of having Holmes in the ninth, you had Peralta trying to close this game out. Again, I just don't like that. It's just you take these bullpen guys, you put them in a different position than they're used to, and something always happens. I know technically Holmes, he started off great. It's been hit around a little bit, so you kind of like, well, he's not really the de facto closer anymore. And, Boone just kind of goes with the matchups there. But I think with these guys, you got to have to put everyone in their roles. Now, someone like a Peralta and King, who kind of flip-flop them between the sixth and eighth, they understand matchups. But in the ninth, you should only have Holmes and no one else pitching. It's just, you're better off that way. But unfortunately, that was the case. He used Holmes a little early in the game. But then, unfortunately, Peralta with a run on, facing pinch hitter Danny Jansen. Again, they lifted lefty hitting Brandon Belt for Danny Jansen, and Jansen poked a 2-run pinch hit home run, barely went over the left field wall there, tied the game up at 2-2. So not that Cole was in line for the win or anything like that, but again, it kind of spoiled what was going to be a nice 2-0 win for the Yankees. But unfortunately, at the point 2-2, we perhaps thinking about maybe losing this game. And let's just look at the two starting pitchers. Cole pitching to six, just went 5 2/3 innings. Not an amazing game, but then did keep Toronto off the board. 4 strikeouts. This scatter 4 hits, so nothing bad. Manoah was a little bit more effective. Yankees really weren't able to do much against him at all. He went a little bit longer. He went the full 7 innings. With 5 strikeouts and just 2 measly hits the Yankees were able to get off him. So, again, both starting pitches were spectacular, and it came down to the bullpen. So, but in the bottom of the ninth, with the score 2-2, the Yankees were able to poke through the win here. It was off their closer, Jordan Romano. Now, Rizzo started off with a double, so, give the Yankees a great shot. Of course, at that point, Boone lifted Rizzo for the quicker kind of left the pinch run. Now, Torres had a little infield hit there, was able to get kind of left or go to third base. So he had first and third at that point with nobody out. So at this point now, you're really looking good. And if you're Toronto, your best bet at this point is to load the bases and bring the infield in and try to get a home to first, type of double play. And that's kind of what they played for. So they walked Kole Calhoun to set up Romano versus Franchi Cordero. And Cordero, as you know, yes, if he can hit a ball a long way, but he also tends to strike out a lot. So wise move for Boone, lifting Cordero for the more back controlling, more average hitting DJ LeMahieu, and LeMahieu delivered with a single, and kind of was able to score easily, and the Yankees come away with the 3-2 win, thrilling win, walk-off win there for the Yankees, and able to tie the series up at that point, 1 game apiece, which then brought game 3, the finale, and it was a real dud. It was an important start. For Clark Schmidt. Again, he's really been searching for a good one, and it's kind of sad because he actually was good in this game, and he did deserve to win. But unfortunately, the Yankee bats, similar to the first 2 games, really weren't there for him. And this game actually went scoreless into the 6th inning until finally Vladimir Jr., who burned the Yankees for a 2-run home run in game 1, did again in the 6th inning with Bo Bichette on. and put the Yankees up in a 2-0 hole there. And it really should have been a solo home run. Now, what happened before that, George Springer was able to get on from a Volpe error. Now, Springer would eventually be forced out at second, but it did allow Bichette to be on, which then when Guerrero hit the home run, it was a 2-run home run instead of just a solo home run. But then again, maybe it wouldn't have been a solo home run because you might even pitch Guerrero differently with no one on base there. And then shortly after that, Dalton Varsho able to hit a solo home run and increased the Toronto lead to 3-0. And then from there, Schmidt was done. So again, he wasn't like totally garbage. He did have 8 strikeouts, so you like that. So, there is some good to take away from the start, but unfortunately, the Yankee at-bats really didn't give anything, couldn't get anything going against Kevin Gausman. And then Michael King and Ian Hamilton would surrender a run each later in the game. And at that point, the game was pretty much over. It was 5-0. Now, Rizzo, again, having a good hitting season in the bottom of the ninth, did hit a solo home run. But that was it for the Yankees, and they kind of went out in a whimper there and lose by the score of 5-1, and again lose their first series of the 2023 season. And you knew it was going to happen, so no big deal there. And again, the Yankees would move on, but you got to be worried a little bit that because Kikuchi, Manoah, and Kosman basically shut the Yankee offense down for 3 games in a row there, so got to be a little concerned like that. And they were just kind of barely lucky to win that second game. Otherwise, you're looking at a disastrous sweep of a weekend, which would have been, that would have been really bad. To lose 2 out of 3, again, at some point it was just going to happen because the Yankees pretty much either been a winning series or they tied that 4-game series 2-2 apiece with the Minnesota Twins. So the Yankees right now dropped down to 13-9, technically third place in the AL East, really not a big deal. But there's been some glimmer of good news, though. So it looks like Harrison Bader kind of working his way back in the minor leagues, just getting some games there, as well as finally Carlos Rendon throwing now, they say pain-free, so good sign for the Yankees there. Again, he had his back was balking him a little bit. That was, again, the most recent injury. So, again, if you get those 2 pieces back, that'll be good for the Yankee offense. And now with Kole Calhoun, at some point we'll see him up here and let's see what he can do. And who knows if they're going to designate Frenchie Cordero for assignment, if they designate one of the pitchers for assignment just to clear some room. At some point if they do bring him up, there's going to have to be a roommate somewhere else. And or maybe just tell Hicks just to stay home because, you just can't play anymore. So we'll see how all that works out. So that's the episode. Hope you liked it, and we'll catch you on the next one.